Hello and welcome to Howzzat. A very good morning to you, Vijay. It's nice to have you back here again.
Yeah, good morning, Rajaraman. A disappointing game last night, but a double header coming our way tonight.
A disappointment, definitely, because it was not a contest with Rajasthan Royals covering down literally to Delhi Capitals. But the Delhi fans will be very happy, Vijay, that the Delhi side is right on top of the table with 10 points from 6 games.
Oh yes, and they've kept up the momentum. They began with they started the tournament with a victory, and they have just gone on to improve with every game, and they have everything in place now.
Delhi will be very happy, Vijay, given the fact that none of its top order batsmen scored big. You had Stoinis and Hetmeyer scoring a few runs for them, but eventually finishing beyond 180. It tells you of the depth that Delhi has got in its batting, 184, despite the top order not contributing significantly.
Absolutely, and also there isn't a half century also, but I think Delhi Capitals, if they have a worry, if they have a concern, it should be regarding Rishabh Pant. His form, he is not able to do justice to his batting talent. He's coming at the right batting order. He's getting enough deliveries to settle down and play his natural game, but the spark is missing from Pant's batting, and that could be the only spot of worry for the Delhi Capitals.
Vijay, could it be possible that Ricky Ponting and Shreyas Iyer have asked Rishabh Pant to curb his natural instincts and play according to the situation, try to bat through 20 overs and then take Delhi Capitals to a good score? Has he been given some kind of additional responsibility that burdens him, and we are not getting to see the Rishabh Pant that we know? He's hit just 5 sixes in a tournament so far in 6 games. He's hit just 5 sixes, and that tells you that Rishabh Pant is curbing his stroke play enormously.
Yeah, if you say he's curbing his stroke play, but at what cost? I mean, at some point, I'm sure even Shikhar Dhawan, I should have added Shikhar Dhawan's name to the lineup or to the batting lineup where he's not doing justice. But Pant doesn't have to relinquish his natural play because that is his strength. He need not hit just sixes. He can. There are always ones and twos and boundaries to keep the score going. And I don't know what kind of strategy it would be if he is told to just bat through the 20 overs without playing his natural game.
And then those two runouts that he was involved in, first one that saw Shreyas Iyer go back, and the second that saw him having to come back to the pavilion without contributing too much to the Delhi Capital score. These are things that kind of indicate that Rishabh Pant is perhaps not very mindful of what he's doing. We don't know what is going on within the Delhi Capitals dressing room, what kind of responsibility Rishabh Pant has been given. But purely from a fan's perspective, I think it is disappointing that we don't get to see the Rishabh Pant that we all know.
I mean, if he gets going, Rajaraman, I'm telling you, he will be the batsman of the tournament to watch because he has an amazing range of shots to play and he's fearless, a lot of strength. But also, if you remember last night towards the end, he was limping. So I hope it's not an injury cause concern for Pant and Delhi Capitals. But I want Pant to play his natural game.
We'll have to wait and watch. There are 8 more games before the teams get to the playoff. And we can only hope that Rishabh Pant gets back to his natural self and is able to play with the freedom that we all know him to have. We'll have to wait and watch for that. But it was good to see Marcus Stoinis and Shimron Hetmeyer score those runs and take Delhi Capital to 184. Stoinis first when he hit those 4 sixes, and then Hetmeyer marshalling the lower half of the Delhi Capitals batting tells you of the kind of depth that they have got and the confidence they have got to take the total to match-winning proportions.
Yes, in fact, they they were responsible for laying the foundation. I mean, when you put up a score of 180, you put the opposition under pressure. And like you said, yes, there wasn't any half century also. I mean, just two batsmen ensuring and almost everybody contributing. Stoinis, I think, is turning out to be the most valuable player Delhi Capitals can have. But to me, the knock by Hetmeyer and his three catches were probably the man of the match winning performance. But it was Ashwin in the end.
We shall get to that choice in just a bit, Vijay. I'm curious that Rajasthan Royals picked Varun Neran for his pace. He kept pitching short. I think they tried to cramp the batsmen a little bit, not give the stroke players the choice of playing big shots. It was good to see a strategy being adopted, but Varun Neran gave away plenty of runs and did not come back to complete his quota of overs. It seems like he was played only to be used in power play and not later.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I think it's a measure of desperation as far as Rajasthan Royals are concerned. If you look at it, 6 matches gone. They bring in Andrew Tye to play his first game, Varun Aaron to play his first game. So they are an unsettled team. Ben Stokes is yet to make his appearance. Steve Smith is not getting runs. So they have, I think, problems galore.
Before we get into the Rajasthan Royals innings and discuss the chase, Vijay, in terms of both the Delhi Capitals bowling and Rajasthan Royals batting. But let's watch what Steve Smith has to say about last night's game.
Yeah, I think the wicket did slow down a bit. Probably wasn't as good a wicket as the first couple of games we played here. But having said that, we probably let them off the hook a little bit with the ball. We probably let them get 10 to 15 too many. And then, we're just losing wickets again. We got off to, we had some wickets in the shed, and then I got out, and we just kept losing wickets in clumps after that, and chasing 180 on a wicket that's slowed up, it's never easy. There's plenty of areas I think we need to really work on. Our batting probably hasn't been good enough. Our top 3 or 4 going on to make some big scores hasn't been happening in the last 4 games, which has been disappointing. So, we need to address that and get better there. And then I think some execution stuff with the ball. It's not an easy game, obviously, but we're doing some things wrong, and it's hurting us considerably.
It takes courage, Vijay, for a captain to admit that he's not playing his best game and that he needs to put his hand up and perform for his side and lead by example.
He is leading by example, by owning up the responsibility, by owning up the blame, and he is as good as he's apologizing to his teammates for not giving them the start they expect of such a fabulous batsman. I mean, today he's one of the top batsmen in world cricket, and I've always loved his style of batting, and he's known to be consistent also. But here he's looking off form, not able to come to terms with the pitches. I think he's not loving those slow tracks. So it is like you say, yes, it's very, very courageous and a good message he has sent to the teammates that I'm responsible and I own up my failure at the top.
The other batsman who has disappointed a great deal for Rajasthan Royals is Sanju Samson. After a great start, 2 very, very good games, made people sit up and take note of his batting. He has had 4 successive failures, 4 successive single-digit scores. What could be going wrong with Sanju Samson, Vijay?
Nothing wrong. I mean, he's trying to play his shots. He's trying to stick to his own game. It is just that it happens that when you are running into a bad patch or bad phase, all your edges go to hands. Whenever he's played those big shots, some good catching will happen. So Samson began beautifully in this tournament, and I still believe that he is an asset to the team. And I'm sure he will come good because he will realize he will have to maybe temper his stroke play for a while at the beginning once he settles down. But yeah, I mean, he has played below expectations, and inconsistency, Rajaraman, has been a bane. I mean, selectors have always held this against Samson, that he is not very consistent.
And then there was Yashasvi Jaiswal, Vijay, who opened the innings, took a long time to settle down, tried to play some shots, did not make too much contact, struggled around for a long time, and then eventually fell when he was bowled to Stoinis. But someone really needs to have a word with this youngster. And in a tournament where a number of youngsters have flourished, have blossomed, Yashasvi Jaiswal comes across as somebody who can do with a bit of advice at this point of time.
Yes, a bit of advice definitely, and he would not realize that the gap between under 19 and international cricket, this is as good as international cricket, is big. He has to come to terms with the pace. He was getting beaten by pace and probably overawed because a young fellow, very gifted batsman, and he's come up the hard way. So I'll wish him well. I'm sure you will also wish him well, and I hope in the next game we get to see a very kind of more confident Jaiswal.
And that brings me to Joss Butler, Vijay. Uh, Everybody would have expected Ashwin versus Butler to be a hot contest, but it lasted just 2 balls. And perhaps that was one reason why Ashwin picked up that man of the match award. Terrific effort to get Butler out, getting the ball to dip in a little bit, and then Shikhar Dhawan taking a fabulous catch in square leg.
Yeah, I think Dhawan was anticipating because if you see Ashwin looks at him, he does this sign, and they've obviously planned it. So bad for Rajasthan Royals and Butler that he is not able to. He's falling to Ashwin's guile. I mean, Ashwin is a very wily bowler, and this combination caught Dhawan. Bowled Ashwin was. It told the story. The dismissal itself told the story of how Ashwin is bowling and how Butler is not able to come to terms with his form.
There was a lot of expectation, particularly given the history between these two players. Last year, we got to see Ashwin run Butler out when he was backing up too far. And last night, when Butler was at the non-striker's end for that one delivery, he was careful not to back up at all.
Yes, I mean, he must have known Ashwin has already he has allowed one batsman to get away, and he's already issued a warning, and it would have been it would have been some incident again if Ashwin had run him out at the non-striker end.
While we are talking about Butler and Ashwin, it is interesting that they will continue to remain in discussion for some more time. They will continue to remain a debating topic. Here is Sailesh Krishnan asking a question about Ashwin and Butler.
Okay, the question that I have is with respect to the very controversial topic of mankading. So I think Ashwin had brought it into limelight last year when he had mankaded Joss Butler. This year in his previous match, he had given a warning for Aaron Finch, and Ricky Ponting, as his coach, had said that he would not allow Ashwin to mankad this season. But Ashwin's point of view is that the batsmen take undue advantage during the bowler's run-up and take a few strides ahead. So his point of view is there needs to be penalty runs. What are your thoughts on this?
That is a very interesting point that Sailesh makes, Vijay. Should batsmen be penalized for backing up too much? Should it be considered a short run? Should there be a penalty? What are your thoughts on this, Vijay?
Yeah, this topic will continue to rage till the ICC steps in or the MCC brings in a new law. Now, I am with Shailesh, and let me share with him that 2 days back I did a story with Kapil Dev, and Kapil was of the firm view what Shailesh is saying, that it should be declared a short run. The batsman should be penalized. Unless that happens, they will continue. I mean, this topic will continue to remain controversial. It has to be put to rest once for all.
My own feeling, Vijay, is that the laws are adequate and let the umpires make the call. I think too much is being taken away from the umpires and being discussed in boardrooms. I think the umpires need to feel empowered to be able to make decisions. If a bowler is running a batsman out, so be it. It is within the rules of the game. According to me, it is within the spirit of the game as well, because if a batsman is pinching even a few inches from the crease to take a run, he's actually not completing the distance that he's expected to. So he is not showing any spirit of the game. I think the spirit of the game debate should end and let the umpires make their own calls on the field.
Yes, and as Kapil Dev said, the batsman is stealing around. He is stealing. And as Mr. Gavaskar also pointed out, I would like to share with Shailesh that let us stop calling it mankaded. It is, if you have to say, you say he was browned because the batsman was brown and it was not mankad. Mankad was doing everything legal and legitimate. and at best, like you said, best is to say run out.
I think that would be the most apt description, run out at the non-strikers end. But again, Vijay, well as Ashwin bowled, those catches that Delhi Capitals took on the field last night, terrific effort, not just by Shikhar Dhawan. There were two spectacular catches that Shimron Hetmeyer took on the boundary line. Small boundary, but when the ball came to him, he was ready, and to fling himself forward and take those catches was quite amazing to watch.
Yes, and when the ball dips, it's not easy because you have to balance, you have to ensure that the ball doesn't spill out of your hands, and then you don't end up with an injury. Of course, when you're diving, you're not bothered because you have to complete the task if you're trying to stop the ball from a boundary or take a catch. But Hetmer is a lovely character, and I heard him last night say that he was practicing. He was learning to practice. I mean, he was practicing to take these catches because he had dropped, if you remember, in the earlier games. So it was good to see him, and he has a good laugh whenever he speaks. So a wonderful character.
In fact, like you said earlier, Vijay, he was perhaps a better choice for man of the match. Due respect to Ashwin, but Shimron Hetmeyer's innings really gave Delhi Capitals the wings to take off, and then those catches that he took on the boundary line should have made him perhaps a stronger candidate for man of the match award.
Yes, Rajaraman, he will be my man of the match because he had two aspects of cricket. He batted well and he fielded well. So it is just that he doesn't bowl. So he may have come and bowled well also because it was his day. And his innings kind of put Rajasthan under pressure to think right from the beginning how to go about the task.
It was also good to watch the rest of the Delhi Capitals bowling. We all know that Rabada can be a match winner. He can pick up wickets every single time he comes into bowl. Then Ashwin, we know what quality he can bring to the table. To see the others also perform to the best of their abilities. Harshal Patel, for example, he seems to have fit in like a glove with his Delhi Capitals attack.
Oh yes, I mean, I remember having seen him in his first season for Haryana. I mean, he settled in US, but he loved playing cricket, so he could have gone. He couldn't get a spot in say Gujarat, which was his home state, but here Haryana gave him an opportunity and he grabbed it. He served the state very well. He's one of the prime bowlers in domestic cricket, and I'm very happy that yesterday he did justice to his bowling.
Let's watch what he has to say at the press conference, Vijay, because these are kind of cricketers who are rarely ever seen at press conferences in IPL. Just a wicket to show for his efforts, but it was nice of Delhi Capitals to have fielded him last night.
So my idea was to just keep hitting different lengths and mixing it up. It's all about changing the lengths and changing the pace. You can't allow the batsman to settle on and line up with one pace or one length. So it's all about mixing it up, and our execution as a bowling unit has been fantastic throughout the tournament, and we are getting better as the tournament is progressing. So we are pretty happy as a bowling unit. When Hetty and I were batting during the strategic timeout, we were thinking that if we can get anything over 165, it would be a great total because this was a significantly different wicket than what we played on the other night. The ball was definitely stopping, and so we thought if we can get anything around 170 would be a competitive total. We are a batting lineup which runs very deep, so it was any time after 16th over, it's just about hitting one or two boundaries every over and try and get as many runs as possible.
As we head into the second half of the tournament, there is another interesting question that has come up. Here's Abhishek from Bombay asking us that question.
Greetings from North Stand Gang, Vijay sir and Rajaraman sir. My name is Abhishek. मैं आपसे एक सवाल पूछना चाहता था कि कल हमने देखा शारजा में 180-190 का स्कोर डिफेंड हुआ. पर्पल कैप के लिए अभी तक सब जो उम्मीदवार दावेदार हैं सब के सब तेज़ गेंदबाज हैं. अभी ये सारे जो तीनों मैदान हैं इन पे कई सारे मैचेस होने हैं और पिचेस जो हैं उनका नेचर जो है वो भी ऑब्वियसली चेंज होगा. तो आपको क्या लगता है कि क्या ये पिचेस स्लो होंगे और तेज़ गेंदबाजों की जगह स्पिनर्स जो हैं वो ज़्यादा फोरफ्रंट में आएंगे सभी टीमों के लिए, और ये टूर्नामेंट में टैक्टिक्स, स्ट्रैटेजी, रन मेकिंग, ये सब चीज़ों में हम एक भारी बदलाव देखेंगे इन द सेकेंड हाफ ऑफ द टूर्नामेंट as it moved towards the end, and will it be almost like a 20 over ODI? Thank you.
Hello, Abhishek. Welcome to our show. I love your Hashim Amla look, Moin Ali look. You've got a very different look, thanks to the lockdown. And Rajaraman, let me tell you that Abhishek is a cricket encyclopedia. Many times I go back to him to check a few facts. He's raised a very valid point. The tournament will take a different course in the second half. There will be more tactics, different tactics. You might see spinners opening the attack, and maybe more all-rounders coming in, because pitches will slow down. And Abhishek has a very valid point. Once the pitches slow down, the tactics will have to change. And I would say more power to the bowlers, because there is very little for them in T20 cricket.
We move on, Vijay, to tonight's games. There are two of them, a doubleheader again, because it is a weekend. There are going to be 4 games between tonight and tomorrow. You have Kings 11 Punjab, which is lying at the bottom of the table, taking on Kolkata Knight Riders, which seems to have come into its own at this point of time. And then in the other game, should be a battle royal between Chennai Super Kings and Royal Challengers Bangalore, primarily because it's going to be a contest between Virat Kohli and Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
I'm looking forward to watch RCB take on CSK. A lot of fireworks can be expected in that match. I read somewhere that Anil Kumble says the only way is up for Kings 11 Punjab. So let us hope the team comes back, because it will be good for the tournament that Kings 11 stays in reckoning. And I'm sure KKR will have a few surprises for them tonight.
Here's wishing for 2 competitive games tonight, Vijay. Thank you very much for being here, and I have enjoyed this conversation as always.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I'm loving the questions from these youngsters.